think if you just put your mind to it and get out of your own way, you can make anything you want come true.
I just try to do what I can with what I have and try to write surrounding that.
I'm a cinematographer first and a writer second, and I have to really balance myself on that, not just make everything, oh, it just looks pretty. No, there's got to be like actual story there too.
I believe that films are powerful when they're able to touch the soul. And I believe that every single one of the films we watched tonight did that in such a powerful way.
So this is Nader, and this is what I'm reading on his behalf. Since we are at the Brave Maker Festival, I want to be brave and say these 3 words in the microphone with my own voice.
The Brave Maker community to me is family. It's all of us. We're all telling stories and standing up for something.
I want to create space for filmmakers, for audiences, and for connection. And I do it because if I don't, who will?
We all make films because we want to tell stories that inspire and that connect. And Brave Maker gives you that opportunity to actually be with your actual audience and be able to see their reactions and react with them.
Brave Maker Festival is one of a kind. Everyone who comes to Brave Maker really cares about their craft, their background, their stories. Everyone has something to share, and definitely Brave Maker is a community where people are connected.
Everyone's just been so welcoming and so genuine. It's just so nice to be in this community, and everyone's just working really hard at what they're passionate about.
Tony has done just an amazing job with organizing this film festival, done a lot of panels and experienced a lot of great films. It's been a great experience.
Everything he does is to elevate important topics, important voices, inclusion. Now he has people here doing sign language. So to me, being a Brave Maker is impact, inclusion. I love what Brave Maker is about.
It's about working within the box. What are the parameters? So it's knowing who you are, what you can do, what you can pull off, and using those resources to the best of your advantage.
We can see all around us the reason why Brave Maker needs to exist, so that we can celebrate Bay Area filmmakers and Bay Area stories.
I just appreciate festivals like this that allow for us Bay Area filmmakers to showcase our work and to be appreciated by, homegrown audience.
So I am asking everyone to make sure that we continue festivals like this and donate to this brother that is making change happen.
Jessica Musgrave! And I know that if I can benefit from it, if I could feel celebrated for my storytelling, then other people will too, because I'm trying to create and make space for people to be brave, because I need it, and I know the world needs it too.
I am a Brave Maker.
I am a Brave Maker.
I'm a Brave Maker.
We are Brave Makers.
Inspired? Take action. You can become a Brave Maker partner donor and help us see the film festival come to life. That's right. All right. Brave Maker Podcast live show, episode 269. Welcome. I am so glad to be here. And that was the first time I used that festival recap video in our live stream. And it gets me more and more excited, even though it's only November, everybody. We have 8 months till our film festival in July, and we just got our first sponsor yesterday. Woo! So thank you to Change Consulting, who became one of our first festival partners. This is a year-round endeavor, trying to get the resources and finances and support to do what we pull off every July. I'm very excited to do that. So my name is Tony Gappistone, the founder and executive director of Brave Maker. I'm a writer, director, and actor myself. Last night I got to be a DP. What? Did I want to do that? No, but I did, and it was so fun. And DPs out there, I love you and respect you. So today we are going to be talking to a filmmaker who's doing his thing outside of LA, in the Midwest. And I'm very excited to have my friend and actor and producer, co-host, BELLYACHE Rodriguez joining me today. Hi, BELLYACHE.
Hello, Tony. Oh my gosh, that video got me so excited because I am editing the vlogs that I did for this year's festival. And I was like, should I post it 6 months before? I wish I could edit a lot faster. But hi, my name is BELLYACHE Rodriguez. And like Tony said, I'm an actor, producer, YouTube content creator, and I'm a Latina. I have long hair and it's blown out. I'm wearing 2 gold necklaces and a silky lime green, bright green shirt, and I go by she, her, and I'm so excited to talk to Andy today.
Thank you for doing those inclusive descriptions. I'm a Caucasian dude with black shirt, black glasses, brown, grayish hair. I'm eligible for the gray list, which is awesome. We'll talk about that today. And I'm in my Brave Maker studio with pink words, Brave Maker, and a faux green wall. With no further ado, our guest today is himself a mover and a shaker and doing his thing outside of LA, which we are also outside of LA, although we work in LA a lot. We're in the Bay. And we get to talk to him. First time meeting face to face. I've been a social media friend and also podcast listener of his. Welcome to the show, Andy Compton. Hi, Andy.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, you're a professional. You know how this thing goes. You have your good mic. Welcome. Why don't you do your inclusive description? We like to give pronouns or physical description, where you're calling from, anything you want to say about yourself, and go.
Yeah, I'm Andy Compton. This is a Blue Yeti mic I got at Best Buy. Very professional. Yeah, I'm a filmmaker here in St. Louis, Missouri. A screenwriter, director, producer, sort of. Not by choice producer, but I'm making it happen. Yeah, I have a podcast called the Social Screenwriters Podcast. You can find us on the internet at Social Writer Pod. I haven't done it in a while because I've been pretty busy with filmmaking, which is a good thing. Yeah, that's about it. I'm also eligible for the gray list. Actually, I'm not, and this is hilarious.
Because of age, right?
Because of age. I have the gray hair, and it's like, what kind of deal is that? That's terrible.
Wait, the gray list, is it 40 and over or 50 and over?
I think it's 40, and I'm 36. And
oh my gosh, look at you, lucky dog, having a silver fox look at 36.
Hey, you know, it happened faster than I wanted it to, but these kind of things, we don't have a choice. I was just looking in the mirror over the course of the pandemic, like, okay, what's happening? Why is this happening? And just like every day.
It's nature.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. I'm good with it. I've gone through my tough time and now I've accepted it and now I'm embracing it. So
yeah, I think that's the best thing to do, to just embrace it, because dyeing your hair, like, hair grows so fast. No, thank you. Especially for guys or anybody who has facial hair. I can only imagine. But why don't you go ahead and tell us how you got started into filmmaking and screenwriting and all of that? How did Andy's story come about?
Sure. Yeah. It's kind of, I guess everyone feels like their story is unique, but mine's pretty weird in the fact that I never, ever in a million years would have thought I would be a screenwriter or a director. Just never would have thought that. And I always loved movies, you know, but I feel like I loved them just as much as other people. And around 2015, so I was a high school dropout in 2006 when I was 16 years old. And I was just a real party kid, kind of a troubled kid. Had some stuff going on at home. I put all these dots together now that I'm like, oh, that's why you were behaving that way. But yeah, I was kind of acting out and being a little crazy when I was a kid, and kind of just kept up that party lifestyle for, you know, the next decade. I was working regular jobs like in restaurants, warehouses, and things like that, making ends meet. And then in 2015, I decided to get sober for the first time. And I quit drinking, and went about 4 months. And during that time, I was like, you know what? It's time to try to build a life, like see what I can do. I was like 26 years old. And so the first step was to go get my GED, to swallow my pride and go get that done. So, you know, I studied and I started watching my Instagram feed right now. Like this, I'm so dumb. But yeah, so I went and got my GED, and that worked out. And then I was like, you know what about like community college? And so I ended up enrolling in community college. And during college, I actually went back to partying a little bit, but I was still staying in school and doing okay. And it felt sustainable. And, you know, during that time at community college, I took some basic English classes, and that was kind of where, like, you know, my professors were like, you're kind of a good writer. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess the only thing I ever really excelled at when I was in school was writing classes. And I kind of just took that and ran with it. I was like, okay, I guess you're a writer. Like, let's do that. And I was writing a lot of prose and a lot of like nonfiction essays. And then at some point, I just got the idea to want to try to write a script. A friend and I, this is kind of an offshoot. In 2014, we had a wild idea to try to write a TV show. We gave it a shot. We had no idea what we were doing. And so I don't really count that much as part of my my screenwriting journey, because it was such a like random thing, and then I didn't think about writing again for a few years. But I decided to try it again when I was in community college, and from there it just kind of went off. And I actually, when it was time to leave community college, I had a choice of what school to go to, and I enrolled in a college near me that actually has more of a narrative, like fiction writing prose program. And I was enrolled in that over the summer, and a friend of mine had enrolled at Webster University, which is like more of like the film school in town that's really film focused. And he told me about it. He was enrolled for screenwriting, and I was like, why am I doing this fiction writing program whenever I know I want to be a screenwriter? Like, that's exactly what I want to do. So luckily, I'm so glad we had that conversation, because I pulled back my enrollment from that college. I applied to Webster and I got accepted. So that kicked off my journey. And around that same time, actually, I was back to partying and I got a DUI. And I just like realized in that moment, I was like, not only are you too old for this, but like, you knew this was coming. Like, you knew this was the inevitable outcome, and that lifestyle is just not sustainable. And so it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. And that night was the last night I had a drink. That was 2017. So I'm like 7 years sober now. And that without that, I probably wouldn't be where I am. But yeah, so I got into Webster, got into screenwriting, and there I actually picked up directing, just as like, you know, I took a producing class where we had to make a film, and I made my first short film. It was terrible. I had no idea what I was doing. We literally had duct taped a shotgun mic to, I think, what was a broomstick, because I didn't know what a boom pole was. So we just wrapped the cord around a broomstick, and shot on a little Sony A7 III that I actually owned. I DP'd it, not great, but I DP'd it. And that was the start of everything. And my time at Webster, you know, I made a couple more short films. I wrote 3 features, one of which is the feature now, BELLYACHE, that I have optioned. And that's kind of how I got here. It was a path that I never in a million years, though, would have thought I'd be on.
That's so fun.
Yeah. It's a story. It's definitely a unique and meaningful and interesting story that, you know, I don't mind this word at all, but brands you for your unique voice, right? So all the work that you're doing, and congratulations on getting a feature option. That's great. I was telling, we were talking offline, so I get to talk in code a little bit, but I am an avid, obviously as a filmmaker and a creative, you know, you want to keep your hand on the pulse of the industry. So I'm always reading Deadline and well, that's the online version, but I literally get a magazine every week from Hollywood Reporter or Variety, and I'm always just kind of paging through things. And I saw an article from a very well-known actress who was talking about her work, and she said she optioned a script named BELLYACHE. And because I follow Andy on Twitter and connected to him on social media. By the way, I paid for ads on the Social Screenwriters Podcast. Remember, years ago?
Yes, you did.
I paid for Bravemaker Film Fest ads, I think in 2019 or 2022. I forget. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So I know, because of my connections on the internet, which is why he has this podcast called the Social Screenwriters Podcast. I know that Andy had this script, and it was so cool. I was able to message him and go, "Hey, I just read an article. That's you, right?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yep, but I can't say anything because of all the different things." So it's really, really cool to watch that happen, especially someone who is not in LA. You know, you're in Missouri doing your thing, making ends meet by doing wedding, you know, filmmaking kind of things. And now I see you're teaching screenwriting and getting out there. So I'd love to hear about the balance, right? Because there's that myth of someday I'll make it. You have a feature film optioned by this award-winning actress who, if people knew her name, they'd be like, "What?" But you're still having to make ends meet, as is 95% of the people in this industry, right? Talk about that a little bit.
Man, yeah, it is such a bizarre thing that is so spot on. So, kind of an interesting story too, to the balance that I have right now as a writer and filmmaker. So in 2021, coming out of the pandemic, I was fortunate enough to be on unemployment for a little bit during like the darkest early days of the pandemic. And that was sustaining me. I was working actually at a Golden Corral all-you-can-eat buffet for 4 years leading up to the pandemic beginning. And then during the pandemic, like 2 months into May 2020, they were like, hey, we're opening back up. And I was just kind of uncomfortable, like, thinking about that, an all-you-can-eat buffet during this insane virus. So I elected not to go back. And so anyway, 2021, we're coming out of it. I need to get a job. And I did 3 interviews with a company who is this great company. And a lot of my friends work there. And it would have been a really great job for me, full-time benefits, sitting in an office. But I think it was like a call center gig. But it would have been good money. And I came really close, and then they told me that I wasn't selected. And I was like, okay, I'll figure something out. So another friend of mine works at a company in St. Louis that does a lot of videography work, mostly weddings, but some corporate video stuff too. And I was familiar with cameras, not a lot, but I had my own Sony little A7 III that I had messed around with. And he was like, I can get you a job if you want. So I was like, okay, and they set up an interview with me. And on my way to that interview, I get a phone call on the highway, and I answer it. And it's a connection I have at that former company that I was applying to and did the interviews with. And she was like, hey, one of our applicants dropped out and you're next in line. Would you like the job? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you could not have caught me at a worse time. I'm literally on the way. And I had done all this soul searching in like the week or so since being denied of like, this is the best thing for you. That job wasn't right for you. This is the path you're supposed to be on. And now I'm like, man, the money does sound good though. And I was like, tell you what, I'm on my way to a job interview right now. Let me go take this interview and I'll call you back. And I went to the interview and it was just a good vibe. And, we're talking about cameras and we're talking about shooting and we're talking about editing and, the Adobe suite and all these things. And I was like, this is just so much more in line with what I want to do for a living, even though shooting weddings, it's not filmmaking, but it's adjacent for sure. It's similar. There's a lot of similarities. And I have learned a lot from shooting weddings, especially when I'm filmmaking and I'm on set and we're using natural light and, Mother Nature is your gaffer and you're looking at where the sun is. Doing weddings has really helped me on the fly be able to make quick choices about like where to put the camera and how to get the prettiest shot out of this. So I've learned a lot of valuable things about audio, even editing. I've edited quite a few wedding films in my day. And I think a lot of tricks that I've learned as an editor have come from editing wedding films. So it was this really beneficial thing. But anyway, I'm like, you know what? I'm taking this job, even though it's a lot less money. There's no benefits. There's no security. It's not full time. I'm going to do this, and it's going to give me just enough money to survive. And it's going to give me a whole lot of time to work on my filmmaking dream. So that was 2021. And it was the best decision I could have made at that point. I've been doing it ever since, and I'm still doing that. But yeah, taking general meetings and, talking to this award-winning actor and, going through rewrites with her and doing notes. And I've actually, with BELLYACHE, I've gotten to do Zooms with a few famous people now. And it's so bizarre because I'm sitting right here in this bedroom and I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. And, I'm like, I'm trying to send off a rewrite to them or something and get it sent right before I go do this wedding gig or right before I go do, some corporate gig. And yeah, it's a bizarre for a couple $100 or a few $100, for like a quick corporate thing. And it's just so weird. And, full transparency, I'm still as broke now as I was when we started talking about this script and, getting it. I've gotten a couple payments, but like nothing huge. Option payments are usually, if you're making a massive movie, maybe your option payments are significant, and I hope that happens for you. But like for mine, we're making a little indie dramedy, and it is the option payments are nice, but it's not a full sale, and it's not enough to quit my job yet. So yeah, it's this really bizarre thing where you just like, and I think this happens for a lot of people when you get to the cusp of really breaking through in your writing career or filmmaking career. You haven't necessarily sold anything yet, but you're taking all these awesome meetings and all these really cool people that you admire are interested in you and telling you you're good at what you do. It's this really weird thing because for me, that space, that pocket has been going on for like two years now, 2.5 years. And it's just this bizarre thing because also, it's not really like, I guess it's an unspoken rule sort of that you just don't talk about things in the industry before they're official. And so it's like you want to tell people like I have like some really cool things happening and I'm really like proud of myself, not just to be like braggadocious, but like I'm proud of myself and I've gotten to this point, but you can't say those things. So it's been like this multi-year thing. Like if you're someone who can't keep a secret, this is going to be really a hard career for you because there's so much secret keeping. But yeah, to sum it up, yeah, it's a really bizarre thing to be still working a regular job and doing, being on the cusp of success, maybe a little bit of success in the film industry.
I think that's definitely something that just is it keeps happening. Like even the people that you really admire, like sometimes they gotta go get a day job again because those paychecks are running out, even if they have had a bunch of successes. So I think that's a really good reminder for people to just know, like, I try my best to share because I do have a YouTube channel. Like anything you see that you like in my house, just know it was not paid through acting. I know I'm on set 3 times a week sometimes. It was probably not paid through acting, so it's definitely a struggle. And if you do get a big paycheck, make sure to make that money keep making you money.
And I'm terrible with money. I know nothing about money. I've never had a lot of money. So I think about those things. I do want to be smart and I've thought about investing, but I'm like, I'm just going to have to get some kind of like financial advisor to even get me started understanding it.
For sure. Yeah. At least read one little finance book, keep track of your finances, look at what you spend every single day. I know it sounds like it sucks, but when you get into the rhythm, now I'm giving finance advice. Who am I? Once you get into the rhythm, you really just look at your finances like 3 minutes a day and you're like, oh, I'm paying for, Netflix twice. That's stupid. Let me, or I'm on set every day. I'm going to cancel my Netflix for the next 3 months. I'm not even watching it. Things like that, But anyway,
definitely good advice. There was one funny talk show interview with Seth Rogen one time, who I'm a big fan of. And he was like, I've never understood money, but like from a young age, like my parents never made a ton of money, and I just knew that I liked money and I liked comfort. So I just thought about money. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just need to make a lot of it. And that's like such a simple minded way of looking at it. And then he did it. It's just so funny that like, he was like, I don't know. I just need to make a lot of money. And then he goes and pulls it off by making like stoner comedies and stuff. I love that story.
So good.
I could see how you would want and connect with him with the humor side. If you, this is episode 269, if you're just chatting in or jumping in on the live, we're talking with Andy Compton, who is a filmmaker, a writer, a director, and an editor, all the things. DP, he said he DP'd as well.
I've run sound on like 3 or 4 things.
There you go. Last night we were shooting a film with our acting academy, which we take it very seriously. It's an acting training a class, but we make short films, and it's sort of become a film school where we bring in, like emerging and new filmmakers. And we always have a sound recorder and a professional DP, those two to help mentor. But our professional DP got sick, and he, like, God, thank you for him. He showed up. He's got his mask on. He's like, his body's trembling. I'm like, dude, you cannot stay. He's like, I'll just set the camera up. I'm like, tell me, show me the camera. Okay, I will figure this out. So I was like, I'm gonna DP it. And one of our interns came and I'm like, okay, I think you can do it half the time. And it was just one of those, like, you got to figure out how to do it. You got to make it happen,
Yeah.
There's nothing. I was calling a couple friends, but I need them within an hour. There's no way that's going to happen. So we made it work, and it was super fun, and it makes for a good story, which is cool. As I talk to you, So in St. Louis, you go to community college, you get sober, you start writing, you realize you're good, you start making things. They're, some of them aren't great, some of them are. Now you're doing film festivals, you get some meetings, you have literary representation in LA. Being a guy in St. Louis who's feeling like I'm living check to check while doing notes on this big feature film that's being optioned. I mean, it truly is like, this is the industry. This is what I think, if we want to make it, this is what making it looks like. It really is. So congratulations on living your dream. It's a hell of a lot of work. It's so humbling. I'd love to hear about these shorts. You've got one that's coming out on Monday that you're going to drop, Fantasmic. And then you got another one, Us Plus One, that is circling around some film festivals. Let's hear about them. And, again, going back to your brand, you have in one of your teasers from the idiots who brought you one of your other short films, CAPTCHA.
Yeah, CAPTCHA,
right?
Yeah.
It's really fun. So let's hear about these shorts you got cruising around.
Okay, yeah. Oh man, I should have done this before. But Fantasmic is a short horror film that we shot in August of 2023 in Festus, Missouri, which is a little more rural than St. Louis, at a little Airbnb. But it is about, oh my gosh, you know what? It's right there. I need it. The log line is: deprived of her anxiety medication, a distressed woman's panic attacks send her spiraling into a sensory-driven nightmare. This is a movie about anxiety and panic attacks, basically, which, I've suffered from anxiety, and I'm always kind of working on that part of myself. I feel like a lot of us are. And
so relatable, Andy. This is not a spoiler, but this in the very beginning when she's seeing things and touching things, that's kind of how I felt yesterday. I'm like, all right, what do I have control over right now? What can I touch? What can I see? So I like that part.
Yeah, and that's something too. I wonder if you relate to this. I feel like I'm getting better at that as I get older, of just like being able to stop, take a breath, assess the situation, and know that there's no way out of it but through it. It's just something that I've gotten a lot better at over the years. But yeah, it was just inspired by struggles with anxiety, and the deprived of her anxiety medication part is actually a little bit based on a friend of mine who takes Adderall and has for a long time and needs it. And their doctor suddenly passed away, their primary. And I didn't know this, but when that happens, he's like, can you write me a new prescription then? Because like I'm almost out. And they're like, actually, your primary needs to write it. We'll have to get you a new primary first. And that's going to be like 6 to 8 weeks before we can even get you someone. And he's like, okay, I need my medicine now, though, like to live, to exist, to like do what I need to do every day, day in and day out. And that was really fascinating. So the script was already kind of written, but I had like a little bit of a weaker setup on why she's experiencing this. And I took that from him with permission and put that in the movie, because I just think that's a really fascinating thing too. Like anyone who's taken anxiety medication, or maybe like, SSRIs, like depression stuff, knows that you can't just go cold turkey from those. Like there's really intense side effects. And as I did my research on anxiety medication, I learned that like people can even experience like full on hallucinations and, just completely trip out when they're cut off of their medication. So that's a little bit where it's based of. And I just tried to imagine this like nightmare of like really everyday things sort of just trickling in a really horrifying way. Like, texts from your boss, or text from your mom. Why haven't I seen you in, however long? Why do you never call? And then, a bad relationship, things like that. Our protagonist actually is engaged and to be married. And that's a lot of stress. I'm not married, but like, I work very close to weddings, and I know it's a very stressful thing. Part of my job as a videographer is to bring comfort on the day of, because it's such an insane day for the couple. And I just remind them, it's all okay. It's all going amazing. That said, that's what Fantasmic is about. Our actress Jackie Kelly is an amazing St. Louis-based actress who's been in a lot of horror features and shorts, and she actually won Best Actor, non-gendered award. She won Best Actor of our St. Louis Filmmakers Showcase this summer for this performance, and she really just goes all out in every role I've seen her in, but in this one specifically, she had to really go to some really intense places. And it was such a pleasure directing her. So awesome to watch her work on set. She was someone, I don't think she'll mind me saying this, but like even between takes, she was staying in character and staying really, really in that intense, heightened state. So I'm like giving her notes, and she's like, you know, just overwhelmed and just like, okay, you know, like, and then I'd be like, action, and she would go. It was really awesome watching someone like her work, and I'm so happy that she got rewarded for it. So I think that one's coming out Monday. Hopefully Monday, if not, you know, Tuesday or Wednesday, but I'm getting it out next week, I promise.
And it's screening right this Saturday at the St. Louis International Film Fest.
It is, yeah. So it had one screening already last week, and then it screens one more time as part of a horror block on Saturday. If you're a St. Louis-based person, it's at Lindenwood University at 7 p.m. on Saturday. I think that's November 16th. Yeah, and yeah, it'll be there. And then we just finished our festival run with our comedy Us Plus One, which is a 10-minute movie, and it is kind of a weird movie. But the log line is, things get weird for a lonely single when he unknowingly swipes right on a married couple's attempt to spice up their shaky relationship. This movie stars friends of mine, Larry Claudin, who is an actor who's been in almost every one of my movies, if not every one. No, all but one, I think. He's kind of the person that I got started in all this with. We met at community college before I think either of us knew that we were going to pursue a dream in filmmaking, but we both liked movies and comedy and connected on that. And then we went on to go through an improv training program at the Improv Shop in St. Louis, and played on some improv teams and some sketch shows and things like that together. So he's my day one homie, and he's at L Claudin on Instagram. My friend Zach Zanders, who is was a frequent collaborator last year. We did CAPTCHA together. We shot in December of 2022, so basically the end of 2022, and then over the course of 2023, we actually made 4 short films together, which was an insane year. And so with Us Plus One and Phantasmic, and our other one, Nonstop, we would shoot them. We'd back up the hard drives, and we would just set them aside because we need to jump into pre-production on the next one because it's already creeping up. So at the end of shooting 4 shorts is when we started the editing process, which was insane. But yeah, so Us Plus One, it's this weird movie. It's I don't know if you can use the term, but it's about a guy who's a cuck, and he's married to a woman, and they're going through something where they're inviting other men into their bedroom. And that's basically what it is. But my whole thing, like I was just talking about this, we screened last night for the St. Louis International Film Festival and did a little Q&A after. And, you know, where did the idea come from? Honestly, it was just that at this time, like I think spring of 2023, I was just seeing that word on the internet, like everywhere. It seemed like it was having a real moment. And it was often obviously in a derogatory, you know, way. And it's not like I was coming in to like defend people who live that lifestyle. However, I did think you know, first off, it literally started with me and Zach sitting at a Starbucks, and I was like, we were going to do a camera test. Our friend Ricky, who DP'd this, had just gotten an Arri Alexa 35, and we were like, we're going to shoot another shoot.
Hey, Ricky, what's up?
yeah, you know, and like, yeah, and he was a buddy, so he was down to shoot whatever. And we were originally just going to do a camera test for a future short film, and we were going to do some interior stuff at Zach's apartment and then some exterior stuff in the parking lot outside of his apartment, just to see how those two things look. And I was like, you know what if we just made a short? Like, let's just do a 1-day short. And so I went home, and we're at Starbucks, and I'm like, what about like a cuck? Is that funny? Like, you know, is there something there? And that question was enough to go on this journey. And that night I went home and wrote this. And really what happens in the film, hopefully people will see it, is that I didn't just want to like tell a story where a cuck is like the butt of the joke. Like, that's not really that funny to me. But what I tried to do was like to make a sweet movie about a cuck, you know, that's like sweet and emotional, and we're rooting for these people. So hopefully that comes across. But yeah, it's definitely a silly one, and it's really interesting being on a festival run in which both of these films are in the same festival, and having to really switch gears, because Phantasmic is very much a movie that takes itself serious, and Us Plus One is not serious at all.
Yeah.
So it's been a really interesting thing. On last Saturday, they screened in the same shorts block, So I had to do a Q&A after, and like every question I received, much like right now, I had to tell the Phantasmic side of it and then the Us Plus One side of it. And it's just a really, really interesting thing, but it also, like, you know, I'm proud that I got to kind of flex two sides of myself as a filmmaker. I love horror and I love comedy.
Mm-hmm. I want to applaud you for just writing and making what you want. It's really great because, you know, you probably heard it. I know you have reps who are probably driving you to do certain things and stay in a lane, but I think there is a lane for what you're doing. But I keep hearing so many. I have an animated feature, I have a mockumentary, I have a dramedy, and I keep hearing, like, you really got to like get narrow. You really got to like really find the thing that you're going to be known for, because you're all over the place. I'm like, why can't creativity be all over the place? I write what I want to write, you know? So it's really cool to have you say both of those shorts were programmed together. Like, awesome. And I also love that there's a St. Louis, Missouri film culture and community out there. I have a friend who's in my writers group who lives in Missouri. So it's so fun to hear more and more people, and we need you all to come and submit to the Brave Maker Film Festival and come out to California so we can hang out with you all.
Yeah, that intro looked so cool. That was just really awesome. I'm honored to be here the first time that you played it. But I wanted to say before I forget to, Us Plus One also stars Alicia Wolf, who is awesome, and local St. Louis actress who I didn't know. I cast a lot of friends in my movies, like almost always. That is a product of coming up in the improv scene in St. Louis and just like knowing funny, talented people and being like, yeah, they'd be good. Like CAPTCHA was all friends. In fact, our friend Chris Bauer, who is a great photographer in St. Louis at C. Bauer Photo, he let us use his loft for free to film our film CAPTCHA, and then he ended up having a speaking role, his first ever speaking role, and we just put him on camera. He's a handsome guy. We were like, yeah, dude, just do it. And he knocked it out of the park, and he was also running sound for the first time on that set. So a lot of really guerrilla filmmaking for me out here in St. Louis, and I'm just kind of doing it my own way until people say that I can't do it that way anymore. But yeah, really scrappy, low budget filmmaking for sure. And yeah, the culture out here is great too. We have like you know, we're not the Atlantas and the LAs of America, but we did just receive new tax credits in Missouri, across Missouri. So I think that productions now have the opportunity to make back up to 39% of their budget should they meet, you know, all the requirements. And I'm actually pushing to have my first feature that I'm directing shot here. We'll see. It's okay if it doesn't work out that way. But I am pushing for that right now, and we'll see what happens. And as far as writing in other genres too, yeah, my reps, Jared Murray and Allard Cantor at Epicenter, they're based in LA. When Bellyache and another feature of mine, Suplex, went deep in the nickel competition in 2021, I ended up getting repped off of the strength of having two semifinalist scripts in the nickel. So, you know, sometimes it works even if you only make the semis. I think I've heard of quarterfinalists getting in, you know, it's just, I have so much sympathy and respect for writers playing the contest game, because I played it, and it can be brutal, dude. Like, and it's just like, you know, you're a finalist in this really big competition over here, and then a little small one that you entered for whatever reason you don't even place, and it's just like, like, who is judging these things, and how does it's just such a lottery. However, though, I will say, if it's within your means to afford it, you know, try to be smart and strategic. And it ended up working out for me. And once I placed in the nickel and got a manager, I ended up stopping my contest career. But yeah, you know, we have conversations a lot about the genre thing, and I will say my reps, I talk to a lot of friends who, you know, all have different managers, and one thing I'm really grateful for is they don't really try to put me in this box.
That's great.
Yeah, they really just kind of trust me, and like with short films and stuff, they're just like, yeah, do whatever, you know. Like with feature stuff that we're pushing to the market, they definitely have a lot more input. But like with shorts, they're like, do whatever you want. And so we talked recently actually about the horror and comedy of it all. And, you know, my manager, Jared, was like, yeah, dude, like, do whatever you want. Honestly, there's other filmmakers out there who are hopping genres. It's not like that's not happening. And so that's really encouraging to me and really refreshing to hear. I like a lot of different kinds of movies. I would love to make a sci-fi movie. I'm obsessed with anything aliens. Also obsessed with the movie Aliens, but anything dealing with extraterrestrials and stuff, I love movies like that. I love anything set in space. I don't know if I'm smart enough to write one of those, but I would love to try. And I like playing in a lot of genres. And I think the short film game, I hear in LA it's actually a lot harder to get productions off the ground, just a lot more hoops to jump through and a little more expensive. That's one great thing about St. Louis is like these passion projects. A lot of times it's just like calling up the homies and being like, hey, you guys want to do something? And once I got to a place where I was kind of consistently putting out things that people were like, wow, that was a cool short. It got a lot easier to crew up and a lot more cool cast, reaching out. So that's been great. But I've like Us Plus One was done in one day and I spent $1,000 all in.
It's great.
And then Fantasmic was a little more. It was I think a 3-day production, and I think I dropped like 4,500 or something. But so that was a little more pricey. And funny enough, comedy. The thing about comedy is it's so much easier to win over audiences if it's funny. And for me as a filmmaker, every film I show, I'm squirming in my seat the entire time. But when it's a comedy and I hear those laughs, I'm like, okay, cool. Like we're good. I can chill now.
And I think that Us Plus One was romantic because in your last podcast episode, you mentioned that it was really hard for you to write romance, but I thought Us Plus One was really romantic because as like a female identifying person, just having my partner think of me that bad, they're like, okay, we'll bring somebody else because you're not happy. He's like, and then he was like, I'm not happy because I thought you weren't happy. And that is a feeling that I get all the time. Like, wait, I'm upset because I thought you were upset, but we're all fine. Okay, we're fine. I just thought that was really cool. And sometimes I see films and I'm like, oh, I want to watch this again, but a feature version, that is one of them that I would love to explore all three of those people, why they got into these positions. Like, why is he wanting to go into like a relationship where it's already established an open marriage, like exploring all of that, I think is really fun. And I love people and I love love. So just seeing those kind of stories evolve, especially in comedy. Of course, Fantasmic was really beautiful, but it was just hard to watch. Like breathing, it's making me nervous, and I hate being home alone. And she was home alone, and I was like, I know the feeling, girl.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate a female perspective on Us Plus One, and that you found it romantic. That's amazing, because again, those are things that I'm just like. Even last night, I was thinking about this. So usually when I have a screening, I'll at least do an audio recording if it's a comedy to listen back to it later and listen to where the audience is laughing. And last night, the whole first half, when I was getting laughs, it sounded like deep laughs, and I was like, "Is it only the guys that are laughing? Is this like a very guy comedic movie?" Because I want to make something broad. And anyway, that's refreshing to hear. And later on, I did hear the women laughing in the crowd, which is good.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny. So good. And to hear that you made that for like $1,000, I'm like, yes. Because one of the things in short films that sometimes are like, darn, it's like the lighting isn't quite right or the sound isn't quite right. But I think these two films of yours that I watched, great quality. Like if you told me you spent $100,000 on it, I would have believed you, because it's just, it's beautifully shot. The lighting is so good. I enjoyed them so much.
Thank you so much for saying that. That's a shout out to all my crew here in St. Louis who worked on both of those. But that's really, really nice to hear. Thank you.
That is so affirming, right? To hear. I'm such a fan of short films too. I never want to stop making short films. I mean, I've made one feature in my life. I'm waiting to make the second, but shorts can be done in a weekend, and they're so satisfying because you can see it, from beginning to end so much quicker than waiting on a feature. So I love that you're seeing some success in features. I do hear a lot of other podcasters and other people, that's their opinion, saying, oh, what a waste of time. It doesn't get you anywhere. But again, that's just one person's perspective. Everybody has a different view in this industry. You got to do what's right for yourself. It's your career. It's your brand. It's your future. So you get to say yes or no. And I love that you're doing that. And I think for me too, like I'm with you, if I want to keep making things and building my community and my support network and my audiences, I can do more with shorts and see the momentum grow, as opposed to every 3 years. I mean, every 3 or 4 years doing a feature. It's like that in between time is really great for me to be able to see something done and then collaborate with people that I go, oh, every short I do, I'm thinking, do I want this person in my feature? You know, so just to affirm you in that, man, that's just really cool. And I also like that bit of advice. I want people to hear this. Show your stuff and record them, you know, get an audio recording. We did a screening of our mockumentary Creature Comforter, and I was filming people's reaction in their faces. BELLYACHE was in it, and I was zooming in on BELLYACHE's like reaction as she was watching herself, and it was just so satisfying, because that's something we don't talk enough about, is how do we know we're reaching an audience? How do we know our jokes are landing? How do we know the heart-wrenching moments are, you know, sinking deep into people's soul unless you actually watch them and listen to them? So that's really good advice. I really like that.
Yeah, 100%. Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to touch on one thing, the people who say short filmmaking isn't worth it, you're entitled to your opinion. I think that that's ridiculous, because like short filmmaking, if you want to be a director or anything, a DP, an actor, anything, this is a much lower stakes way to just get your reps. Just get your reps in, because there are some people who jump into directing a feature and they've never directed a short.
True.
And they do well.
Very
rare, in my opinion. That's very rare. Like, most people need to get their reps in a low stakes way. And every short film I make at this point, I feel like it's a little better than my last. And that's a great feeling for the most part. But that's a great feeling. And, you know, when I look at my early short films, if I had been given the license to do a feature at that time, it would have come out not great. I had to go through all these, and every short film is a completely different experience. And oftentimes for me, I have a lot of the same crew, but there's different people and different moving parts and mostly different casts. And, you know, that's another thing as a director, you're talking to different actors and you're learning how different people approach the work, and how, as a director, you need to be like water and be able, because like, I don't want to make you come in as an actor and do things the way I want to do them only. I want to figure out where you are too, and how can I mold the way that I'm approaching this to you. I was a server for many years in restaurants, and I think that's one of my most valuable pieces of experience that I bring into this, is that you just meet so many different kinds of people and you learn how to talk to people. And some tables you get as a server, you can tell right off the bat when you introduce yourself that they are here to converse with each other. They're not really trying to talk to you that much. So just do your job, be polite, you know, stay on top of things and let them do their thing. But then there's like, you know, an older couple who want to know every detail about your life. They want to chat you up, you know? And so you need to talk to them too and treat them that way. And you just learn to feel people's vibes. I'm not an expert at it, but I've gotten much better. And I think this is such a people focused industry, and you know, you're dealing with different personalities every step of the way in making a movie. So I think it's good to have those skills, you know, and be able to meet people where they are.
And for me as an actress, I feel like, and filmmakers in general, I think a lot of short films get viewed as like, ugh, because they're not making you money. So they're like, oh, you're an actress, so you do acting full time? Oh, you don't? Okay, you're not really an actress. Oh, you're an aspiring actress. And it's like, no, I've made just this year alone, I don't even know how many short films and web series and features where I play a little part. But I think one of the reasons why some people might talk down to short films, it's because it's like, oh, you're not really going to make money off of it. So you're not really like doing it professionally or whatever. But the quality of a lot of these films are really good. And also your experience, like you are having such a great time being a filmmaker with these shorts that it's totally worth it. And as an actress, I've tried to be like, think about, okay, what if for the rest of my life, being an actress means I make independent web series, independent short films for the rest of my life? Will I be happy? The answer is yes, but I still need money. So yes, I'm still going to be auditioning for features and TV and all of that. So all of that to say, keep doing whatever bleeping makes you happy.
I agree. And I will affirm, the person who's very vocal about not doing short films as somebody who's making a lot of money and has shows on HBO, and I really respect him and what he does, but he's a little far removed from the indie people, the 90% of us who are doing it out there and trying to have fun and want to see our dreams come true too. Yeah, maybe someday when I have all that money and affluence, I might be like, I'm kind of done with short films. I hope not, but you got to do what's right for you. And I'll say this, as I, by the way, I had lunch with Allard because one of our producers went to school with him when I was in LA. I got to meet him at Venice Beach and have lunch with him. As I'm looking for managers and those kind of things, they all tell me they'll watch a short sometimes before they'll read a script because they want to see, can you execute, and people who are writing and making stand out than people who are just writing. Not that there's anything against just writing, but you got to figure out a way to get in and have people see your work and fund your work and support your work and all that kind of stuff. So,
And
what?
Sorry, I was going to say, and short films are easier to program into film festivals.
True.
Able to make more connections.
That's right.
Do more film festivals and do more networking by having short films.
Did we convince you all to go make a short film by the end of, you have 6 weeks left to the end of 2024, so go make something. And if you're in St. Louis, find Andy. Follow his YouTube channel at Andy Compton. You'll see is it Us Plus One comes out on Monday? Fantastic comes out on Monday, and then soon Us Plus One. You're in Missouri, go find him at the film festivals. If you are somewhere, if you have a short film anywhere in the country, you could submit it to the Brave Maker Film Festival, July 10th through the 13th. Submissions close in April. We would love to have you. All right, we are not done yet. We're going to do our lightning round for Brave Faves.
Brave Faves. TV shows, films, books, songs, technology, clothing, podcast, food, and more. These are a few of our favorite people, places, and things. Brave Faves.
All right, quick and dirty. We're almost out of time, but my favorite thing of the week is Clint Eastwood has a great movie out. I think it's still in theaters. You should go see Juror Number 2, y'all. I really, really liked it. My wife and I saw it on our anniversary weekend, and I would say, even though if you're watching this, I'm showing the trailer, don't necessarily go watch the trailer. It's not a huge spoiler, but it's so good if you go in not knowing what the movie's about. It's about a jury. It's a little bit of a mystery of some sort. You'll really like it if you like that kind of stuff. Don't watch the trailer. And Nicholas Hoult is in it, and a couple other people. Toni Collette. It's really good. And Clint Eastwood at 94 years old crushed it. So I really, 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 really liked it.
Wow.
All right, who's next? Belly, what do you got?
I can go next, yes. So with the new year coming up and, us wanting to do goals or whatever, I was thinking mine never work. So I'm reading the book, listening to the audio version of the 12-week year, where essentially you put all your goals and just put them into 12 weeks. So I think they're a lot more realistic and attainable. So that's my favorite thing of the week. I love self-help books and productivity books, so that's my favorite.
Nice. All right, Andy, you're up.
Favorite thing of the week?
Anything.
Boy, we're currently having our St. Louis International Film Festival here in town, and I've been attending screenings. I got to see A Real Pain, Jesse Eisenberg's movie.
Oh, yeah.
Got to see The Brutalist, which Adrian Brody is like fantastic, and it's a 4-hour movie. Literally, it's 3 hours and 55 minutes. And he's so electric on screen that, like, I thought I wasn't going to do well in a 4-hour movie. That's just too long. But I was never not entertained. And he's just so incredible, and everyone in the movie's great. But what I would say, though, is that, like, I'm sure you guys experience this too, especially when you have your film festival going on, is just like, I don't know, just film festivals are so special when you get to be there for multiple days and take in different screenings, shorts, blocks, features, big features with actors we all know, smaller features with newer filmmakers and newer actors. It's just such a beautiful thing, and like the vibes are so great, and I love getting the opportunity to do Q&As. I love just meeting filmmakers after the film, especially when I saw their film and really enjoyed it. So I'm just going to say my favorite thing of the week has been going to this film festival and just like being around filmmakers all the time. It brings me joy.
So much fun.
Love to hear it. Go to film festival, support your local film fest. We, by the way, are going to Sundance. We do have 1 private room left, 1 shared room for ladies, and 4 beds for shared room for guys. If you want to come, let us know. We're going the very first half. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, BELLYACHE. Thank you to our producers, Amy Cohen and Alessia Potronkova, who do amazing things to get the word out about our podcast, creating promos and all that kind of fun stuff. To our editor, Barnell Amos, who's in Grand Rapids, Michigan, kind of by Missouri. We appreciate when he edits all of our audio and puts it out on the apps. Now, if you like what we do for 269 episodes, you can become a partner. Just text the word Brave Maker, boop, 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 1 word, to 44321. That's 44321 by text. Use the word Brave Maker and you'll get a link where you can become a donor today. It's all tax deductible. Remember that. Or go to bravemaker.com/donate and give $3, $5, $500. We have 53 people who give something every month to help us do this, to help support the film festival. I like to be transparent. The film festival costs us for 4 days about $90,000. Last year we did it for half of that because we did not get a presenting sponsor. We got creative. We got free things. We worked, 17-hour days. I would love to get more sponsors, and I think the individual donors are the ones who are going to make it possible. The people who believe in the arts and see the positive impact we are trying to do in the world. We are also giving grants to our filmmakers to seed their next projects, and we want to see more and more short films be made. So if you believe in that work, please join us at bravemaker.com. Thank you, Andy Compton of the Social Screenwriters Podcast. You can follow that on Spotify. Follow him on his YouTube channel and Insta, and he's on X, all over X, with all of his fun comedy, dark humor. Make sure you follow BELLYACHE on her YouTube channel, Actors Especially. She's doling out a lot of great advice from everything from auditions and self-tapes and just set life and practical things that you all need to know. With all her vlogs, she's also showing you behind the scenes of the 25 million short films and things that she's doing, and her series. She's a star of a series, y'all. Bernadette the Brave. So amazing. All right, that's all the time we have. Next week, I have John Higgins, who is the editor of a new Melissa Barrera film, speaking of horror comedy, called You're a Monster, debuted at Sundance in 2024. And I met him at a party, and he's going to be on the show next week. So thanks so much, everybody, for being here. Andy, you're awesome. Let's connect sometime. Hopefully we'll meet in person, but this is great. Until then.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Heck yeah. All right. Brave stories change the world.
And you are the story.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.